New format, new list. This is the new branded list, and I'm actually calling it Bestial Despia. And you're gonna see in a second why, but before that, make sure to check out my new playmat over on Imperium Duelist. You can get 10% off using code GALZO10. If you're a fan of Chimera, the Nightmare Magician, and the Illusion Monsters, you will want to get some of that for yourself as well. So go check it out in the description below, and let's get into the list. So, again, new format, new list. A lot of you have been asking me for the new branded list for the new format, and let's kind of break down before we go into the list, because this list is going to seem a little bit weird to you, what's actually happening in the new format. I'm thinking about four main threats in the meta against branded, and I'm mainly talking about Tearlaments, Rescue Ace, Pearly, and Unchained. I built this deck to be one, resilient against all of them, and being able to have a response against them. But also, not only that, I also built this deck to make sure that this doesn't just lose to one singular hand trap like a lot of branded builds could possibly encounter. This build is experimental. I would like to hear your comments below about what do you think about this, but I've been testing this for a little while and I've been really enjoying the things it can do. So again, I want to hear your voice in the comments below. Of course, like the video and subscribe if you did enjoy that and you want to see some more content like this. Let's get into the list. So as I mentioned, I've built this list with a few main threats in mind and a few other matchups that I think are favorable. And you're going to see a lot of weird choices here. And I think that the most important thing about this build is that it's experimental. You can use this as a template to go into your own builds. But I've been having some fun and success with it. I'm really enjoying it. And I did want to give you guys some input into the new format. So let's start this off with our monsters. We have 3 Blazing Cartesia, 3 Guiding Quem, the Virtuous, and we have 3 Fallen Valbaz. You are not going to see a Luber or branded opening in this list. You are not going to see any Despia monsters besides Guiding Quem, the Virtuous, who's also a Despia monster. The reason is you want to be able to go in different routes, and you want to be able to synchro summon during your turn while not being locked into fusions. Cards like Branded Opening and Fusion Deployment lock you. They do raise consistency, but we have other ways to get to these cards that don't actually lock you and provide a lot more value. 3 Albaz, non-negotiable in my opinion. This card is really, really good. And combined with that, we have a very big Bestial package, which I think is very good against Unchained, very good against Tearlaments, which is currently on the up and up. Good versus Chimera. Could be sometimes good against Pearly, just to add a little bit more pressure to the board because we have big synchros. And the package is Rebellion, which is your main starter to get your Bestials, and it's really, really important to see in your opening hand. And then we have 3 Droids, 3 Serenir, and then 1 Magnamut, because it is limited, and then 1 Bestial Eluber. So you want to maximize on Bestials that give you a lot of value. So Drew is obviously very good against Unchained, just a huge interruption on itself. And then obviously Serenir that gets your plays started, because combining Serenir with something like Quem gets you graveyard setup. And of course we do play the continuous spell and trap. So again, setting up your graveyard for success to add 2 more interruptions and a draw and a summon back for a Bestial on your opponent's turn with Branded Regain. Really, really good. The Bestial Eluber specifically is here because of 3 reasons. 1, it's a dragon. You can make Dispatter with this card. 2, it's a tuner. It helps you go into Synchro 10s combined with the Bestials. 3, it is a Bestial monster, so it is searchable by Rebellion. You can add this card to your hand if you need it. And actually a 4 bonus, of course, I think this is actually the best one of them that I forgot to mention. The 4th reason is that this card becomes Fallen Valbaz in the graveyard, and I think on the field as well. Yeah, field or graveyard. So it's basically Albion the Shrouded also. This allows you to go into a lot of different plays. You can dump this with Serenir to make your Cartesia alive. You can get this with Brandon Red, so you can fusion summon in your opponent's turn, make like a Guardian Chimera or something. Bring this back. You can, dump it with Quem, so you have an Albaz in graveyard. It is very, very versatile in the fact that it's just searchable, and you can send it off of Quem because it mentions Fallen Valbaz. I've been really enjoying this card. I think it's really good. This is the main monster engine of the deck. And again, the reason why, I'll get to the other utility monsters here. We have Albion, Kit, and Mercurier. So Albion is super important because, again, dumps Fallen of Albaz to the graveyard. You can make your Cartesia alive, sends spell and traps, retribution, stuff like that, so you can get a lot more recursion. Also, you contribute this card if you manage to special summon it for Lubellion. Kit is our way to get to Branded Fusion, which we do play in this deck, but we don't want to waste our normal summon because we have Quem, which is a much better normal summon in my opinion. And using cards like Branded High Spirits, you can special summon Kit for free and search for Branded Fusion and not get locked by things like Branded Opening. You want to lock yourself only when you know you cannot go into the Synchro route, right? So you don't necessarily need Branded Fusion in your setup at all. And then Mercurier, besides being a negate, it's actually a little bit better for dumping off with Quem and then banishing for a Bestial to summon. And then you get a search off of that. You can summon something like, you can search for something like Cartesia, Quem, Kit, Albion, Aluber. You can search all of your deck with Mercurier, and I think this is definitely enough. And I dropped my Branded Fusions on the floor. This is the utility monsters, no Aluber, no opening. That is it for the monsters in the deck. And then we have 3 Branded Fusion. Of course, this card is extremely strong when it resolves, but you don't necessarily have to commit to it every time. This gives you a lot better grind game if you can survive and make turn 3 with a defensive board and then go in on the offensive with Branded Fusion. Lock yourself is summoning a lot of big boss monsters, which is what this deck is really, really good with. And then High Spirits is, in fact, one of the best cards in the deck. Again, if you don't know what this card does, because it hasn't seen a lot of play, it's not extremely popular, it's a quick play. You can actually activate this on your draw phase to play around Droll and Lockbird. You can reveal a monster in your hand and send one level 8 monster from your extra deck to the graveyard with the same type that has 2500 attack or defense. And this is not a cost. So you activate it. If it goes through, you do the whole thing. Now, you can discard, first of all, you can just send the monster to the graveyard. A lot of people don't know this. You can just reveal a monster. So let's say you reveal Fallen of Albaz. You can send a dragon with 2500 attack or defense from your extra deck. That's where the effect ends. But additionally, what you can do is discard the reveal monsters from the hand and then search a card that mentions Fallen of Albaz from your deck, which is every one of your starters, right? So what happens here is that you get graveyard setup for 2 cards. You manage to put a fusion in grave, so you can send something like Titanic Lad to make sure you get Quem on the board during the end phase. And of course, you add a missing piece. So you add Cartesia. You can, with 1 card, just set up Cartesia and Quem on the board, which is really, really strong and important. This card makes the deck run. It searches basically every card in the deck. So I think it's really, really good. 1 Branded in white, again, really good because you can search this and not lock yourself into fusions. Again, you can get a very good and very heavy graveyard setup with this, with Albaz. And again, Aluber, the Bestial Aluber in the graveyard is Albaz. And then you can make Branded in white. And again, summon Synchros, Links, Fusions. We have everything and you're not locked. So I think in white is really good. Maybe 2 copies is a little bit better. Regained in red. In red definitely comes up. It's very good on your opponent's turn, and we are playing the good targets here. Definitely comes up, and again, doesn't lock you into fusions, which is good. And then some traps. We have Branded Beasts, so these 2 are just a powerhouse. You get these 2 in rotation, and again, you have so many Bestials to get the engine going, so you can set these 2 up on your opponent's turn. Really, really good against Pearly, combined with Druid's Worm. This is send pop 1, send 1, which is obviously very good. And then Retribution, and then we play some non-engine in the form of 3 Forbidden Droplet is back, baby! And then 3 Infinite Impermanence. These are just really, really good. Again, Droplet specifically good because, again, that graveyard setup is really, really important. So we do play 6 non-engine, but again, we have so many Bestials in deck, which are just a really good, strong interruptions on your opponent's turn, which set up your field before you begin playing. Look at that nice line of the Sleeve Chief playmat, right? And again, playmat, if you haven't gotten the Chimera playmat, check out the description below for Imperium Duelist. Extra deck, 2 MJ, 2 Granguignol. I think 2 Granguignol is especially important here because of the amount of Quems you play. Sometimes what will happen is that you will finish on a Granguignol and a Quem, but the Quem is probably a good player that knows how to play against this deck will out the Quem first. Either negate it, destroy it, bounce it, whatever. You want this to be able to banish this card and summon another Quem, and you still want this for recursion because this is an incredible, incredible card. 2 Albion and 1 Sanctifier. You have 6 light spellcasters. You can make this one easily untargetable, really hard to out, and of course blocks your opponent's field from using Lightning Storm unevenly, but also uses away with Albaz, removing cards from your opponent's field without destroying them and without targeting them, which is very strong in this format. Rindbrum, never want to not play this card. It's extremely good. And then we have Albalanatus, which is good because you have so many dragons. You can shuffle a lot of them back with Lubellion and make this card attack up to like 8, 9, 10 times, right? You can shuffle everything, banish all the Bestials, everything that you need, shuffle it back, get the Albalanatus that can attack a lot of times. Basically clear your opponent's board if they have relatively small monsters. And good against dragons, of course. Titanic Lad is non-negotiably important to this build. This gets you, it's a very good high spirits target. Send it off, get Quem on your board during the end phase. Send this off Mirror Jade on your opponent's turn. Then during the end phase, you can summon an Albaz, fuse away one of their monsters if they're not prepared for it. And then we have Warlord Furies, which is in this deck with so many dragons. It's very, very good. If you don't know what this card does, it requires 2 dark dragons. And as a quick effect, you can target one monster you control and one card your opponent controls and destroy them, right? So what you can do with this card, combined with Mirror Jade and Quem on board, is to pop your own Mirror Jade after it's been used and a card your opponent controls. Then you can summon back the Mirror Jade with Quem from the graveyard if you have even like a set high spirits, or when your opponent just summons from the extra deck. Very, very good. And then we have Baron, Dispatter, which I think are the best currently Synchro 10s in the game. I don't think that's really a question. Dispatter provides a lot of value. Baron is just a very strong card. And your deck is basically built to make Synchro 10s. You have a lot of level 4 tuners. You have a lot of level 6s. This is just what you do. There is a case here to maybe add a Crimson Dragon because you have the Bestial Lubellion who's level 8. But you already need setup for that, so it's probably a little bit harder to pull off. Then the last card, Serratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. Very good if you just have dragons on your board. You can set this up, make it into an interruption, just play Bestial Control for a turn, because you have a lot of ways to supplement your graveyard with darks and lights using high spirits and such. And what you can do with this is, of course, get a bounce, but this one summons a dragon from the deck, and Fallen of Albaz is a dragon. So this becomes a bounce and possibly a fuse away for one of your opponent's cards if you time it correctly. This is the deck. Let's see if I have 15 cards in my extra deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You will not get me this time, YouTube. I really want to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments below, and of course a like on the video and subscribe if you do like this type of content. We're on our way to 14k, almost 15k, so we want to get that boost. Let me know again in the comments what you think about this build. The link to the build is going to be available in the description below. I've heard that feedback a lot of times, and yeah, I do want to help you get the deck list as soon as possible instead of just like copying from a video. And don't forget, of course, the new Chimera playmat on Imperium Duelist. Get it while it's hot, 10% off, Galzo 10 over on Imperium Duelist. Link in the description. Love you guys. See you in the next one. Peace.